Oh man, it's that time of the year. It's that time of the year, the old harvest day. Got to get started on cutting them oats. But I don't really want to take the sweet peat out in the field, so who are we calling upon? Oh, you know it, right there. It might just slide sometimes. Okay, so it's not quite gonna go, so just put it in gear. And just idle it down front. You do a little light check. Come hop up here. It's the blinker switch when I point to this side, pull it down like that. I want to check the blinkers, got it. Then when I go that way, which way do you think this has to go? Up, yep. And then I'll do this. That's the brakes. Push on this brake pedal. Like that, okay? Hey, that's not a bad looking rig, is it? Little new school with old school. Not too shabby. All right, Marn. Oh yeah. Okay. Sweet. Old Freddy Man Fred's getting a good lesson out here in the old Volvo. This is perfect place, perfect truck for this kind of stuff. He got his upshifts good up to 4th gear coming out. Getting the hang of it. Still got the steps off from when I polished this. Gotta put them back on. You're gonna be an old trucking dog in no time, Fredster. You're gonna be traveling the USA in the old Volvo here. Right now you master the bottom 5 and then the 13 speed will come another day on the road, but the 13 speed part of it's easy. It's just, you don't have to, this thing shifts itself on the side. You don't have any trouble with it. Oh, baby. Guess what we're doing? Again, oil change, all right? We've been pounding the pavement. We've been milking the miles. We've been ripping the road. When you're putting that many miles on your rig, it seems like every other week you're in the shop, you're changing filters, you're dropping your oil, you're going over your rig, you're keeping it tight, you're keeping it right. If you're like me and you enjoy being the one that gets to do this maintenance because you enjoy crawling under your rig, you like poking around and prodding around and seeing what's what, check out my friends and partners over at finditparts.com, okay? They've got everything you could ever want. Not only for your semi-truck, you guys, they have a lot of other stuff for your vehicles as well. They got a lot of filters and things that you might find useful at home in your home garage. If you want to see what kind of deals may be had for you, in whatever environment you're in, go down under the description, copy and paste that link, save it somewhere convenient, click on it, use it to order your parts, okay? Just last night I restocked my filter supply. If you need to do the same, you guys, $200 orders, Jack's 20, gives you $20 off those orders. $500 orders, Jack's 50, gets you $50 off those orders. That's a pretty good percentage actually if you do the old matharoo. And you're over $500, you're likely gonna get free shipping. Go check out finditparts.com and get you some! All right, well, the truck is still waiting on our combine action to get here. I think it's just about over there, but I'm gonna go grab the round baler because we're gonna bale straw out of this. I don't know how much straw, this ain't gonna make a lot. This is a pretty dry hillside out here. If you remember from the old drought days, the videos from 3-4 years ago, this is a lot of stuff that we never even cut because it was just so tore up. We cut this bottom half for hay because there's a lot of volunteer alfalfa growing up in it. So we made some oat hay out of this half, this bottom half. You can kind of see the line. And this is the oat portion, but it's not super tall. So it'll make some straw with that 40-foot header he's got or whatever. But anyway, we'll see how it shakes. But pretty good oat heads really for being a dryland hillside here. You know, if you're into the oat business. not too bad for what it is. And cool thing, man, by the time we got out here, Freddie was he was getting his gear shifts down without having to rev back to the gears, you know. So on to the next. Go for a third gear, right up to 15. Hey, buddy. Whew, how smooth. Number 2. So we just barely got started dumping and we ran into a little snag. Now, first things first, neighbors come over and combine for us. They've been real nice to come do that. They live as the crow flies, they're just on the other side of that ridge. However, they got to drive the long way around. It's probably 6-7 miles over to their place, but they come and combine for us every year, as you remember if you've been watching along for a long time. Anyway, the wheat market is so poor right now that they did not combine their wheat. They usually have, well, I shouldn't say because I don't know their acreage in terms of what they do for most years, but anyway, enough that they're harvesting for a couple weeks. They went ahead and they cut it all for hay. So instead of combining their wheat, they cut it when it was greener, put it into round bales, and made wheat hay for their cows because it just made more sense, right? So they did not fire up their combine and do anything with it this year. So it's kind of goes both ways. It's nice that they're able to come over and do this and run their combine, because nothing's worse on equipment than letting it sit and sit and sit, because things just decay essentially, right? And when you go to use them, something's wrong. So these are little things that most equipment has. The first day you take it out, you run into a few little snags, this and that and whatever. So what happened here is that we broke a shear pin on the auger drive. So shear pins are a pretty smart thing. They put them on equipment since the dawn of time, and basically anything that drives, any shaft that spins that drives something, they put a shear pin in it. So try to imagine this being a drive and this being a drive. They take the two drive shafts and they put them together like this, okay? And then they use a little bolt to hold them together. So if everything's right and everything's fine, you're going along and those two things are going to spin together, right? They're bolted together by just maybe a half-inch bolt, or depends on the size of the drive. But anyways, what happens is if you get into something thick or heavy, or say, I'll give you an example. Let's say this isn't the case here, but let's say there's a rock that got down in the bottom, or a piece of wood, or who knows, whatever gets down in the tank of this, that drive would hit that rock and it'll snap that bolt, right? On this end, it hits the rock, so this end's not going to spin. This end's driving it, well, it snaps the bolt off, right? It's a safety mechanism to keep. If they were welded together, it would just go and tear everything up, wherever it's jammed up. Does that make sense? Kind of hard to explain without showing you, but anyway, Nolan ran over to go grab a few tools from his pickup. He'll be back. We'll put that shear bolt in, then we'll get rolling. But not too bad. A couple things that are surprising me. We're making some straw. Like I mentioned, I showed you earlier, that big hillside. Didn't really know what we were going to have, but it's definitely making some windrows. I would say we're going to get 20 bales of straw off of this hillside, which is pretty good. The other thing that's surprising me is the yield. We made just 2 passes. This is about a 30-acre, 40-acre piece, and we couldn't actually quite make 2 passes, and we filled up the tank. So I'm not going to shoot any numbers at you for yield, but pretty good yield, considering I thought we'd easily make 2 rounds, as short as this is, but it seems to be yielding pretty well. So let's get this thing dumped and move on. making some straw for sure. We've run out of time. There's probably another load and a half sitting up there on the hillside. But we got, let's see where I'm at here. I'm getting some air built up. We've got high school football tonight, second game of the season. We got a rip and roar on that. Got a big victory forthcoming. Got to get Freddie, got to get Army, got to gather up, get the boys on the bus. About an hour and a half trip from here for that. And then Lash has a volleyball game in the same town as well. So I'm going to take what we have, which is 3 full dumps on this trailer. Going to run it in. Nolan's coming back on Sunday, which is day after tomorrow, to finish up. I'm going to be gone on the road doing some other stuff. So the plan is he's going to come finish. I think there should have enough capacity if I empty this truck, park it back out here. We'll have enough capacity that he can finish what's here, and then there's one more little field to hit up, but it should all fit on one semi. So we are for sure going to have much more oats than we had last year. We had basically barely 1 semi load last year is how it ended up. Anyway, so we're going to end up, I'd say, with a heaping semi load and a half, which for our little operation is just right. Get this smooth little Volvo rolling out of here. Shouldn't call it a Volvo, it's a White-GMC. It was prior to the takeover. Bumpity bump, bump, bump. This out here is all stuff I need to plow before winter sets in, for sure. This is probably gonna end up going into hay next year. A little bit of volunteer action. We'll get that taken care of. I'll probably bring you along on that little adventure. This was previously Willow Creek winter wheat. The year before that, it was oats. This is where we combined our oats last year. So you can either come out and spray this to kill it, or we can turn the cows in on it for a week or 10 days and then come plow it up good and then let it sit over the winter. And in the spring, we'll hit that alfalfa. Needs to be smoothed out a little, that's for sure. Calves are looking pretty good, huh? Not bad for a bunch of late calving little buggies. Shut the gate. Trailer is like, I am a highway prince. Why are you taking me out into the wilderness? I don't like it. I don't like it. All right, my boys, move. Get on up here. All right, that loads in, cleaned up. Oh, man, oh man, warm and sweaty. We're gonna park her there for now. Isn't she just a little beauty? A little gray on gray. They're rounding up cows here for preconditioning. I think they need a little help, so I'm gonna wander out on foot, see if we can get these babies wrangled. They're getting a little 2-for-1 here. Baling some straw. No one's finishing this top part. I'm gonna bale straw till he's done, and then I'll move the truck over to the other field. Then I'll have to leave the rest of this baling until I get back from this load of cows. So you wouldn't hardly know it, judging by my spry demeanor. But I just finished a 1,700 mile whoopty with cattle. Got back in the wee hours. Got the old rig back. Nolan finished combining. We can see the peat down there. It's waiting on a wash job. But anyway, Nolan got done combining. Ended up pretty much filling that hopper up, I would say, with about 50,000 pounds, low 50s. Yeah, everything's good. 50,000, 52, judging by the space it took up, but pretty well a load. So let's call it a load and 2/3, not quite 2 loads on the year, which is great. That'll free us up to use more oats for the cows. If we only get 1 load, then we typically will try to save it for certain cattle projects. If we get 2 loads, then it frees up some feed to be able to give the cows a little supplement while they're out in the wintertime, which cuts back on hay consumption, which is always great. Tell you what, if I was ordering a brand new hopper, of which I will never do, I would order it 100% all manual. I hate electric tarps. I hate electric traps. You can disagree, that's fine. Hate them all. Wish everything was manual. Such a pain. Hooking up all this stuff just so I can roll the tarp back and forth. You know what? Certain things, it's okay to just do them by hand. And cranking a tarp on a hopper is one of them. This is my highly fancy electric tarp hookup. Jumper cables into an electric tarp plug. Gives me the power I need. Oh, looky there. I got this front hopper. I think the whole load's gonna fit on this one bay. Hoping to keep this empty so we can park equipment in there, / put some more feed in if we need it for some reason. I'm gonna say this is gonna fit. We got one more hopper back there to do, but we about got her whipped. Man, listen to that OB model purr. Yeah, she could use a paint job on the outside, but I love them things. But I'll tell you why I'm struggling, trying to stay away. You can't see it in the camera, but man, it's dusty. Not overly dusty, it's dusty. Anytime you unload a hopper, it's dusty, right? And I don't know for sure, but this is a forage. They call it a forage variety oat. I maybe explained that once before, but it's been genetically modified. What? It's been genetically modified? It's been crossbred, which is modifying, right? It's funny, people do it with their dogs all the time. I'm not gonna get into this too deep, but they do it with horses, they do it with dogs, all that. Everyone got a dog at home, got a cat, it's crossbred, it's modified. They don't seem to care, but man, you do it to a plant to get some certain qualities going in that plant, and oh man, the world comes unglued. Anyway, I'll leave that right there. This plant has been crossbred. I'm not sure what with. I'm going to go ahead and make my assumption that it's been crossbred with barley, because that oat dust is so itchy, and nothing's itchier than barley. Nothing, in my experience. This is a close second. So I know certain varieties, they crossbreed. I gotta go check something. They crossbreed with barley to make it more thick, to make it more leafy, so the cows can have more hay out of it. Well, y'all, there it is. I even climbed up in there and got a little dirty. That auger, you can't get it to reach in. Ideally, you'd want to start augering it about right here and then move the auger forward if you needed to. But it doesn't have a swing arm on it or a stub arm. So we just get it in as far as we can. And then I shoveled by hand. It was a very itchy affair. And shoveled, filled the back corner. But we got 2 semi-loads piled in that side, which is awesome. Normally it puts a fair bit of pressure out on this, right? You can, it's not really blowing out. Oats are pretty light compared to like corn. But anyway, usually we would try to equalize the pressure a little bit so these dividers are supported. But I think I'll get a couple of these totes. I guess, they're not blowing bad. It might be fine without it, but anyway, stick something there probably. Something heavy that's left over, like a pallet of salt and mineral maybe, just to bolster that a touch. And we're gonna have an entire bay here to park a tractor in this winter, which is always nice. But I'm itchy, I am hot, and we got football going here in a few. So I'm gonna go home and shower and eat, rinse off the road, rinse off the oat dust, and catch you guys on another one. Yeah, I'll give you one last look at the old girl. Something about that old school, man. Whew.